This is Jim Sawyer for capitalismandcrisis.org. In our last installment, our irascible zombies were pausing for a rest break at the Great Salty City Public Library. Then, as she walks briskly before rejoining Adam and Jeremy, Joan passes an open door and a meeting of great interest. On the spot, Robinson concludes, these are Democratic operatives. Even as a buzz plays in her head from center-left and center-right commentators Eric Schooner and Henry Olson about liberal failure to stand and face forthrightly Republican populism. Blue America under Obama arguably ran through 8 years of virtual declared war on most every aspect considered sacred by Red America, claims Schooner, a liberal. Reds are afraid, says Olson, a conservative, because they see the progressive left wanting to stamp them out. The American heartland, of course, is anchored comparatively in lower educational attainments, greater economic stressors, and perpetual downward mobility for huge numbers of citizens. They resent they are out of step with change economically, demographically, culturally. Indeed, core U.S. partisans have become, not unlike Brexit voters in the U.K., outraged at being excluded. Now they are ready to push back big time. Under Donald Trump, Reds like him are poised to break all the rules as necessary to stop liberals from destroying what they view as their rightful heritage. How far might they go? All the way, apparently. Sound like civil war? Indeed it does, thinks Olson. So what are you doing, Joan queries the group, to forestall politically devastating outcomes for your America, for everyone's America? Then she pauses. You need to take your fingers out of your ears, Robinson shouts. I fear what you are doing here constitutes smugness, aloofness, even intolerance towards center-right-leaning folks. You need to bring with you on your team. Indeed, how can you carve out a winning governance strategy in these perilous times if continuously you hold members of the counterparty in contempt, then respond to their anger like Pollyannas? Next, Joan outs herself as the alter ego of a deceased Englishwoman now enmeshed in America's tawdry political scene. However, as she grinds on amid the group's almost polite consternation, a disgruntled woman fumbles with her iPhone and then rushes into the hallway. Next, she is overheard placing an urgent call to the medical examiner. Please come quickly, she implores. A meeting at the public library has gone terribly awry, commandeered by someone who looks like a zombie, claiming she is, dead, actually. Undaunted, Joan perseveres, sensing she may be evicted at any moment and thus needing to get her ducks in a row fast. You people on the political left, she says, too often unwittingly become enablers of the far right by trying too hard to be fixers when there's nothing for them you can fix. They become outraged all the more, and then tragically, you become Pollyannas all the more. Economist and commentator Jeff Madrick describes how liberal partisans do this. Indeed, he says, it resembles 19th century Parisian artist salons, and it has endured remarkably, says Joan, for liberal-leaning organizations, economic, political, and otherwise, with powerful elites at the helm. In the 19th century, according to Madrick, rules were promulgated within salons to maintain standards, but also to exclude up-and-coming artists who chose not to align with a particular salon's leadership, clientele, and style. In that time, of course, interesting work by Impressionist challengers, Monet, Cézanne, and others, was excluded. Unless upstart challengers complied with what he describes as a paint-by-the-numbers scheme, there was little hope their work might reach around salons actually functioning as cartels. So goes contemporary economics along with 19th century Parisian art, Jeff Madrick asserts. Of course, cartel-type behavior, tragically, has a deadening impact on innovation. It might work like this, says Joan, for Democrats here in 2018. First, you band together with powerful folks of similar stripe, and then next, you declare your in-group to be the brightest and the best on the planet. Then most everyone is called upon to line up behind your most liberal-leaning superstars. And finally, you declare anyone not traveling with you in precisely the same direction to be against you and your espoused cause, that actually they are handing over power and victory to the enemy. Of course, this cartel-like strategy shrinks what ought to be a big tent into a much smaller tent, into the organization's much smaller potential reach. Just then, from the corner of her eye, Robinson spies two officious-looking men in white coats, trailed by a gurney, advancing slowly in her direction down the corridor. In an instant, she disappears into a small crowd moving along the hallway in the opposite direction and then onto the escalator. Moments later, Joan rejoins her fellow zombies, and neither Jeremy nor Adam is the wiser about how Professor Robinson actually spent her short bathroom break at the Great Salty City Public Library. To be continued, stay tuned.